Hello, I'm Mario Andretti. I hope you will watch the interview with the Mexicano racing team.
Bienvenidos a Racing Team, mi nombre es Martín Campos. En el día de hoy me acompañan Carlos González, Ricardo Ponce, Antonio Ramírez y hoy estaremos entrevistando un campeón de la Fórmula 1, 4 veces campeón de la IndyCar, un futuro dueño de un equipo de la Fórmula 1. Hoy nos cuenta de primera mano la enorme experiencia que tiene en el automovilismo Mario Andretti. Bienvenido, campeón.
Gracias.
Pues vamos a darle, Martín.
Vamos a darle a las preguntas, cosas que solo Mario nos puede comentar. Mario, usted ganó el gran premio que definió el campeonato en la lluvia de Japón de 1976. ¿Cómo fue todo ese fin de semana?
So, Mario, you won on the Grand Prix that defined the championships in 76 with the rain in Japan. How was that weekend and what was the mood over the weekend?
Well, what was interesting is that our car was not very good that season, but we made many improvements throughout. And coming to the last race, what was encouraging was that I was on pole in a dry condition. And then, of course, we won the race with very wet situation. And there's nothing better than winning the last race of the season because it gives you momentum for the following season. So, yeah, happy times. Everyone was obviously over the moon because, as you say, you know, winning is winning. And so everybody's happy during the winter.
Okay, nos comenta Mario que esa temporada el Lotus no estuvo muy bien, sobre todo en carreras de lluvia, pero en esa carrera en particular califican en la pole, logran ganar la carrera y además pues deja un muy buen sabor de boca para la gente, para el invierno, para preparar el auto para el siguiente año. Entonces, pues deja muy bien parado al equipo y la gente estaba muy contenta.
Perfecto. Y con respecto a las reuniones, ¿cómo se decidió correr? ¿Cuál era el clima que había? ¿Quién estaba a favor y en contra? Se habló mucho acerca de eso.
Sí. We know that race was very difficult, that the meetings before it was, we're going to race, we're not going to race. What was the mood? How were the drivers feeling about racing, not racing? Of course, you wanted to race because you were in pole, but how was the mood of the drivers?
Well, as you can imagine, there was a lot of rain. And we, as driver, we asked if they could delay the start maybe for 30 minutes, half an hour. And the organizer refused that because they said it was televised and they refused to do that. And we had to go. We had to go under the worst condition I ever experienced in my life. And there was incredible aquaplaning, especially down the straightaway, you know, which was very dangerous and many cars went off. But anyway, it was a condition that we all had to deal with. And it was fortunate that personally I stayed on the track and was able to continue.
Ajá.
Yes.
Nos comenta que las condiciones eran muy difíciles por la lluvia, una gran cantidad de lluvia. Dice que los pilotos estaban pidiendo que se retrasara media hora de ser posible. Los organizadores decían que no era posible por la cuestión de la televisión. Recordemos que estaban televisando y el tiempo satélite en aquel entonces era diferente. Y pues que todos tuvieron que arrancar, que las condiciones eran las más difíciles que él tuvo que manejar, que recuerda, y que afortunadamente pudo mantener el auto en pista y pudo lograr pues ganar esa difícil carrera. Very interesting, Mario.
Carlos, tenemos tu pregunta.
Yeah. So continuing with Formula One, you basically with the Lotus 80, after you won the championship, Colin Chapman wanted to go a step further, and you try that car. And it's mentioned in several places that you defined the term porpoising, that you came up with that to define how the car was behaving. So what was your feeling, after testing that car, coming, and reporting to the team? What was your feeling of that car?
Well, obviously, it was a step forward in the aerodynamic side because you learn more. But I think that the chassis itself was not strong enough to be able to use very stiff suspension, to be able to hold a car. And because of that, the car was not consistent to the corners. There was a lot of torsion, a lot of movement in the chassis. And it was very difficult to understand the car. And that's why after a couple of races, we had to abandon the car. It was unfortunate because aerodynamically it was definitely better, but we needed to have the tub, the chassis much stiffer, so you could use stiffer springs in the suspension to hold it up. And anyway, it's a shame, but it was not the full package.
Nos comenta que el diseño del auto y del chasis no era lo suficientemente fuerte para la suspensión y el carro se comportaba de manera muy errática al entrar a las curvas, que es una pena porque el carro aerodinámicamente era muy bueno, pero lamentablemente el chasis y la suspensión no podían trabajar y pues tuvieron que abandonar ese diseño. Dice que que se lamenta mucho porque cree que el diseño la idea era buena, pero lamentablemente no lo pudo concretar. Y bueno, también aquí le voy a preguntar que si le sorprende como piloto que los equipos hayan padecido tanto este tema de porpoising en la temporada pasada. Mario, were you surprised that the teams last season had so much porpoising, considering that you guys experienced that back in the late 70s, early 80s?
No, I'm not surprised because here again, it's a new direction that they were going by rule. More ground effect downforce, and that porpoising you cannot experience in a wind tunnel. So it's something that and unfortunately they don't have the opportunity to do much any testing before the season starts. So you're testing as the season progresses. So it actually sometimes more downforce gives you that penalty of porpoising because the car just wants to dip and then has to recorrect, and you can only correct the porpoising with very, very stiff suspension, but then you're giving up the speed in the slow corners. So it's a terrible compromise. And of course, as the season went on, everybody learned more, and they raised the car a little more, and gave up some downforce, but again, everything was just a compromise to be able to deal with that. Some teams dealt with it better than others, but nevertheless, it was a problem everybody had to deal with.
Nos comenta Mario que no le sorprende para nada, que era un cambio radical en las reglas esta última temporada y que pues lamentablemente con el porpoising solo se arregla con una suspensión muy dura, muy rígida, y que el problema con esa suspensión es que se compromete el desempeño al entrar a las curvas. Lamentablemente también nos comenta que esto no se puede simular en el túnel de viento, entonces que todas las pruebas y todo, como están muy limitados los equipos, pues iban experimentando sobre la marcha, y conforme la temporada fue avanzando, los equipos fueron corrigiendo y todo. Hubo equipos que pudieron arreglarlo de una manera más rápida y otros que padecieron más, pero que no les sorprende que haya sucedido esto.
Correcto. Don Mario, y hablando de otro extraordinario piloto, en el Lotus 80, Carlos Reutemann fue su compañero y rival en varias temporadas. ¿Qué recuerdo tiene de él?
So, speaking about the Lotus 80, and being a Latin American channel, we remember that Carlos Reutemann was your teammate, and he was a teammate and a rival in various seasons. What is the remembering, the memories that you have of Mr. Reutemann?
Oh, Carlos, one thing that I remember, he was very, very good. He's very, very fast, and you know, capable of winning any race. And that's one thing that I had tremendous respect for him. And he and I were good friends, no question. Here again, we started the season with two different cars, so we could not really, you know, consult one another, you know, to make the situation better. But nevertheless, it was a great experience for me to be alongside of Carlos. And again, you know, there's always great respect when you know that the teammate is as good as can be, and Carlos was.
Nos comenta que Carlos Reutemann era muy bueno, muy rápido,
Sí.
que tenía un gran respeto por él, que lamentablemente en esa temporada no tuvieron el mismo auto, entonces no podían comparar notas para hacer que el equipo fuera mejor, tenían carros distintos, y pues dice que siempre tener un compañero de la calidad de Carlos Reutemann pues hace que el equipo crezca, y que siempre tuvo un gran respeto, y que pues Carlos Reutemann podía ganar en cualquier auto, en cualquier carrera, entonces que tiene muy buenos recuerdos y que fue un muy buen amigo de él.
Wow.
Antonio.
Don Mario, usted ha piloteado y manejado diferentes automóviles. ¿Cuál ha sido la categoría más difícil que ha podido manejar?
You drove very different cars in various eras and all that. What is the category that was most challenging for you to drive?
Well, they're all challenging. I mean, of course, it has to do with the quality of the equipment, you know, what you're driving. Sometimes, for instance, when I first had the opportunity to drive a Formula One car back in 1968, testing in Monza, I felt beautiful in the car, because the only experience I've had at that level before was an Indy car on a road course, which is much heavier and not as agile. And when I got in that Lotus, I said, oh, this is fabulous, you know, because the car responded beautifully. And so it's all about, at that top level, it's all about having the car that you really understand and the car that responds to you. But that situation can change just even during the season or from one year to the other. It's really hard for me to say, you know, the one is really more difficult. You know, it's how well the equipment is prepared. And once you reach a certain level, it's all about the equipment. How well do you respond? Does the equipment respond to what you want, what you expect as a driver?
Nos comenta que es muy difícil para él definir una categoría que fuera difícil para él, porque todo depende de la calidad del equipo que tengas. Que cuando él tuvo la primera experiencia de manejar para Lotus en Monza, que él se sintió increíble en el auto, porque la única experiencia que tenía era correr en Indy en una pista, no en óvalo, y que él se sintió muy bien en el auto, cómo se respondía, cómo adaptaba a él. Entonces, para él, cuando dice que cuando llegas a un determinado nivel, todo depende del equipo que tengas con el que te puedas desarrollar, y en base a ese equipo te puedes ir desarrollando. Entonces, para él es muy difícil decir una categoría sobre la otra.
Perfecto.
¿Seguimos con la tuya, Carlos?
See, Mr. Andretti, so you had cars that had, like we talked, a lot of aerodynamic load, low aerodynamic load, with a ground effect, no ground effect, and different categories. How can you adapt your driving style to those different cars? Because you were driving, one weekend you were driving a Lotus 49, and then the next weekend you were driving a GT40. That is a completely different animal. So how do you adapt? Let me just do the quick translation in Spanish because I forgot to do it in Spanish first. Le pregunto que cómo adaptaba su estilo de manejo a los diferentes tipos de autos, sí, con carga, sin carga, de diferentes categorías. Sorry, Mr. Andretti, go ahead.
Well, Carlos, this was just a challenge that I looked forward to be able to adapt. And, when I look back at my careers, driving even on the dirt tracks here in America, and then going from a dirt track even to a Formula One car, which is like day and night. And to be able to not just drive, but to be able to win, to me, was the ultimate satisfaction. And it's all about how much passion do you have? How much do you really enjoy doing that? And that's what I did. I didn't have to do that. It's much easier to specialize in just, in one category, if you will. But I found tremendous satisfaction out of trying all the different levels, the different disciplines that at the top level, and again, I derive, satisfaction like I could have not done anything else to give me that satisfaction.
Pues nos comenta que para él era lo que buscaba, ese reto de manejar diferentes autos en diferentes categorías al máximo nivel. Nos comenta que para él manejar los carros en las pistas de tierra en los Estados Unidos, los pequeños óvalos, a un carro de Fórmula 1, para él eso era lo que a él lo motivaba, a encontrar la satisfacción de lograr conquistar esa máquina y lograr no solo manejarlo, que era, como nos comenta, de día y de noche, manejar un auto de la pista de tierra con el Fórmula 1, sino poder ganar en esas carreras, ser competitivo en esas carreras. Entonces, que para él eso era lo que le daba la motivación para seguir aprendiendo y todo, que era mucho más fácil especializarse en un tipo de fórmula, que para él el reto era ese, el hambre que tenía era esa de manejar diferentes categorías y dominarlas. Muy, muy, muy interesante. Very interesting, exacto, Mario.
Exacto. Y justamente dentro de la utilización de esos autos, con algunos pilotos hemos hablado y nos han dicho, se oye generalmente, que los autos de Fórmula 1 con efecto suelo de la década de los 70 experimentaban los pilotos un mareo o una pérdida de visión dentro de las curvas por el efecto de la fuerza G. ¿Usted lo experimentó eso? ¿Lo escuchó hablar?
Excuse me. We have heard that with several drivers that because of the ground effect and downforce during the 70s, there were several experiences or chapters where drivers were experiencing either dizziness or loss of vision in the curves because of all that, because of the G forces that increased tremendously from the 60s to the 70s. Did you ever experience something like that, or did you hear? What was the drivers commenting about that?
Well, for sure that everyone had to deal with something like that, which was, from a driver standpoint, if you can go quick, faster through the corners, that's what you want. And so it's something that you have to get used to it. At first, it affects you, in some adverse ways, but the more you do, the more you get used to it and you prepare for it. And you'd be surprised that it's like any exercise that you do with muscles and whatever. It's just about knowing what to expect, prepare, and then as time goes on, it's okay. Everything, you are familiar with it, and so that's what it was. But at the very beginning, you figure, oh man, you know, it's a bit startling, but you liked it because why? Because you're going faster through the corners, and that's where the lap time comes. So, you know, it's something good. You can deal with it.
Nos comenta que sí, que efectivamente era algo que sucedía en esa época, pero que pues como todos sabemos, los tiempos se hacen en las curvas, al tomar las curvas.
Sí.
Entonces, que pues es algo a lo que te vas acostumbrando, que sí, al principio pues a todo el mundo lo tomó por sorpresa, pero conforme lo vas haciendo, te vas adaptando y es como cualquier ejercicio, vas practicando, ya sabes qué ir esperando y dice, además la motivación está en que pues encuentras esas pequeñas décimas de segundo en las curvas donde encuentras la velocidad. Entonces es por eso por lo que te vas adaptando y vas experimentando eso.
I want to say something else that for me, I experienced G's, much more G's before on the ovals in IndyCar, where on the oval races, you have a very long, constant radius corners. So you're in a corner a long time. And I was, you know, pretty well tuned to that, if you will. And of course, even with the ground downforce, you're even worse. Today, I mean, even in my two-seater, we experience 4.5 Gs. You know what I mean? So but I was more prepared when we got to Formula One for that because I had the experience on the oval tracks.
Nos comenta, nos agrega que él estaba un poco más preparado para esto de soportar las fuerzas G, porque al correr los óvalos en Indy, las fuerzas que experimentaba, pues ya las tenía. Nos comenta inclusive que en el carro biplaza que maneja ahora tiene 4.5 Gs. Entonces, él, cuando empiezan a experimentar todo esto con el downforce, él ya estaba preparado con esas fuerzas G. Entonces, para él no fue tan difícil adaptarse a tener esas fuerzas.
Excelente.
Very, very interesting, Mario.
Really.
Well, continuing, para continuar con las preguntas para don Mario, ¿podría platicarnos la experiencia que durante la década del 60 usted fue parte del programa de Total Performance de Ford? So moving on a little bit to other category now that we're touching, can you tell us your experience of being during the decade of the 60s, being part of the Total Performance program for Ford? What was your experience with being part of that program when Ford put everything and they were racing everywhere? What was your experience?
Well, it's something that I enjoy very much. Why? Because I gained experience as a driver by being able to do a lot of testing and a lot of development because we were experimenting in so many areas. And, you know, even especially the Le Mans program, some of the Can-Am, you know, we were driving so many miles, you know. I was in a race car all the time because of that. And I really welcomed that opportunity also because I had always in my mind to be able to, you know, to be able to come up with the skill, as much skill as possible to do road racing because I wanted to ultimately do Formula One and I wanted to prepare myself the best way possible. And I know a lot of the testing that we did, Bruce McLaren was one of the drivers that was doing a lot of driving for me and with me, and he and I became really, really good friends. And I learned a lot from him as far as the technique in the slow corners, how to rotate the car, and all of the techniques that are, you know, very useful to be able to go quick. And so again, I embraced that opportunity that and Ford had this vast program, you know, that again, you know, we were in a race car all the time, and that was very beneficial for me. So I owe Ford quite a bit for that.
Pues dice que muy contento de haber podido participar en ese programa donde Ford, pues prácticamente le daba la oportunidad de utilizar cualquier auto, de practicar, de estar ensayando, porque eran tantas cosas en varias categorías, en Le Mans, Can-Am, que tuvo la oportunidad también de tener como compañero a Bruce McLaren, que le ayudó a desarrollar algunas cosas, poder, cómo tomar las curvas lentas, como que aprendió mucho de él y se volvió muy buen amigo. Entonces, que la ventaja que tenía era, a diferencia de los pilotos de ahora, podía estar en un carro prácticamente todo el tiempo practicando, ensayando, porque él lo que quería era mejorar para poder llegar a la Fórmula 1, que al final pues lo pudo lograr. Very, very interesting, Mario. And well, you won with Bruce McLaren the 12 hours of Sebring, so and the 24 hours of Daytona. So not a small feat, not a small feat.
Y hablando de un fanático de McLaren, Antonio, vos tenés una pregunta sobre...
Antonio.
Mario, ¿qué recuerdo o anécdota tienes de haber competido contra Pedro Rodríguez tanto en el Campeonato de Resistencia como en la Fórmula 1?
So what are your memories or anecdotes that you have from Pedro Rodriguez racing against him in the Resistance, in the World Championship, when you were racing with Ford or in Formula One? What are your memories from Pedro?
Pedro and I were very good friends because in 1966, my very first 24 hours race of Daytona, he and I were teammates with the Ferrari, Luigi Chinetti Ferrari, which was the North America racing team. And and Pedro and I, we finished, I think we finished 4th at the time. But we had a good race, and then the following race was Sebring, but we had a fire in the engine, so it didn't go on. But from there, we developed a good, we became good friends, and then we raced together in Formula One. The different times in in 70, 71, Pedro was a good man. I just loved him. He was very, very calm, very cool, and fast. So
Really fast.
I love that. Good man.
Thank you.
Pedro, good man.
Yeah. Dice que tiene unas excelentes recuerdos de haber corrido con Pedro, que él sus primeras 24 horas de Le Mans las corrió con Pedro en 1966 en el equipo de el señor Chinetti, que terminaron cuartos, y pues que los recuerdos que tiene es que era un excelente piloto, muy rápido.
Muy rápido.
Y una excelente persona, y que además pues corrieron en varias categorías y tuvieron la oportunidad de correr juntos como compañeros de equipo y correr en algunas ocasiones, pero que tiene excelentes recuerdos. Le voy a mencionar una pequeña anécdota de que Pedro era muy bueno corriendo en lluvia y que alguien dijo, alguien le debería decir a Pedro que está lloviendo. Hey, Mario, do you remember that anecdote that during the rain when Pedro was racing with the Porsche 917, that somebody came out and says, hey, somebody should tell Pedro that it's raining.
It's raining.
he doesn't know yet.
It didn't matter. Yeah, no, he was. It was interesting. The way he would assess things. Nothing was a problem. Nothing was a problem. And by the way, it was 24 hours Daytona, not Le Mans, in 1966.
Okay.
Okay.
24 hours Daytona.
Perdón, aclarando, fueron las 24 horas de Daytona, no Le Mans. Y nos dice que sí, que para Pedro nada, su manera de afrontar cada carrera y todo, no tenía ningún problema. Para él todo calmado, todo bien, y él iba.
No, perfecto. A ver, don Mario, se lo decimos todo el público amante de Fórmula 1. Necesitamos y queremos a los Andretti en Fórmula 1. Necesitamos que la familia Andretti ingrese a la máxima categoría. Y aquí viene la segunda pregunta que la voy a juntar. ¿Cómo está la Fórmula 1 actual, don Mario? ¿Mejor con Liberty Media o con Bernie Ecclestone?
Okay. The first is mostly a statement. They say that we're talking as fans that we definitely need the Andretti family in Formula One. That we're really, really rooting for you guys, so you guys can make it into Formula One in the next couple of years. We're really, really rooting for you because we need the Andretti family in Formula One. And then the question is, how do you think is Formula One? Is it better now with Liberty Media, or how Bernie was handling it back in the day? How do you feel how that is going on?
Sorry.
This is very difficult. Yeah, first of all, thank you for saying that you would like to see us in Formula One, because we're trying very, very hard to meet all the requirements of today. Again, you know, I'm very proud of my son, Michael, that he really is doing everything to try to satisfy what they're asking, you know, to be able to be accepted. You know, times change. It's very difficult to say, you know, everything. Like when Bernie's time, he was pretty much making all the decision, was easy to say. He would say yes or no. Now there's many moving parts, you know. It's very difficult to get a quick decision. However, we're doing whatever is necessary today. That's the important thing. And we want to be in Formula One, you know, very badly for the long term. We have a big commitment. As you probably heard, that the General Motors with Cadillac wants to enter Formula One for the first time ever. And so hopefully they would think that it's a good thing for Formula One to have another major manufacturer involved with us. They want to, you know, to be part of an all-American team, which, you know, it never happened since Dan Gurney, actually.
Yeah.
All-American. So
your friend.
Yeah, my good friend, Dan Gurney. So again, as you could see, now in North America, we will have 5 races. We have 3 in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You know, so it'd be great to have a full, you know, American team, since the U.S. will have 3 races, and it's should be good for the fans, should be good for the sport in general. And to have a long-term commitment from a manufacturer like Cadillac, I think hopefully they will embrace embrace us to be able to join the grid.
Bueno, una gran respuesta. Thank you very much. So let me try to summarize it a little bit, but nos dice Mario que, bueno, primero pues nos agradece mucho que las palabras, que sí, definitivamente, sí, ellos están haciendo todo, están cubriendo todo, que está muy orgulloso del esfuerzo que está haciendo Michael por cubrir todos los requisitos que le piden para poder regresar a la máxima categoría. Dice que hablar de diferentes eras, dice que pues, en la época de Bernie, él tomaba muchas decisiones, él por su cuenta, y que ahora pues hay muchos más participantes, tiene que ser más consensuada las respuestas y todo, pero que ellos creen que tener un equipo con el respaldo que tienen ellos, que tienen pues el apoyo de General Motors con Cadillac, por primera vez interesado en entrar a la máxima categoría, y que pues teniendo 5 carreras en Norteamérica, 3 en Estados Unidos, México y Canadá, pues ellos esperan tener un equipo, y que pues desde hace muchos años, cuando su buen amigo Dan Gurney con su equipo Eagle entró a la Fórmula 1, pues son pocos equipos norteamericanos los que han existido. Entonces que ellos esperan que pues todas las cosas están cumpliendo con todo, y pues esperan pronto poder estar en la máxima categoría.
Perfecto, Carlos, decirle que cuente con nosotros para todo lo que nosotros podamos ayudar, ahí estaremos.
Yeah, we're just saying anything that we can do to help. You know, if we need to get signatures, if we need to get, you know,
Anything.
anything, just let us
Maybe
know.
not money, but
De hoy en adelante somos Andretti Cadillac todos.
Yeah, that from this point on, we are all Andretti Cadillac.
Well, thank
Perfect.
you. Just saying what you're saying now is, you know, is fabulous. Thank you for saying that, because it's, you know, it's great to have the approval of the racing fans. You know, it's all about, that's what it is. You know, it's that's the way that I have been, you know, encouraged throughout my career by the fans, you know, the people that appreciate the sport. And there's no bigger compliment than that we can receive, to be able to say, anyone, you say, yeah, we would like to see you there. Thank you.
Wow.
Pues nos agradece mucho, dice que para él, pues la respuesta de los fans, de la gente que es aficionada a la Fórmula 1, es el mayor mérito, porque después de estar involucrado durante tantos años en la Fórmula 1, que para él el tener el reconocimiento, el cariño de los fans y que la gente les diga, los necesitamos ahí, es algo que los motiva a seguir tratando de estar por ahí. Profe.
Muchísimas gracias. Llegando al final de la entrevista, yo voy a hacer mi última pregunta. La voy a cambiar, Carlos, porque estamos hablando de la actualidad.
Ok.
Usted ha visto miles de pilotos, sabe cuál es veloz y analiza cuáles son los elementos. ¿Qué pilotos de la actualidad usted ve prometedores / irían a ese equipo?
Okay, so we're getting up close and personal now. So basically, he's asking that you have seen multiple drivers through the years, and now, I mean, you're pretty sure have your eyes. So which ones do you see now that have the potential or the abilities, and you would like to see probably joining not only Formula One but possibly the Andretti Cadillac program?
Well, you know, at the moment, Michael has been one that has helped, say, Colton Herta, you know, since he was very, very young, you know, to come through the series, and he's one of the drivers that would be with Michael. Hopefully, you know, depending what year we are allowed to enter, whether it's 24 or 25, we will see what other driver that's with experience would be willing to join the team, because it would be great to put an experienced driver next to Colton. But he's I've been very impressed with this young man, because at age 19, you know, he won immediately an IndyCar race, and being, I mean, it was not by strategy, it was by speed, outright speed, and controlling the race against the best there was. He won 6 IndyCar races already, you know, in his very young career, and every one that he won was on speed, not strategy, not fuel mileage, anything like that. So I love his demeanor. I just like his approach to things. And so again, I think he really wants to be there, because he trained there, you know, with the likes of you know, with the McLaren. Yeah, Lando Norris. Lando Norris, for instance, that time when Lando Norris was in Formula 4 and so on and so forth. So again, you know, you could tell that at a very young age he had this desire and passion to do it. And so again, you know, he's one talent that is worth giving the opportunity. And Michael obviously has him has that promise to him. And so, but there's some really good talents out there to be able to choose from. And it's all a matter of how much desire they have to be in Formula One. And I think that, having another American team, probably they would probably have some opportunities then that they don't have now, I assume. Michael has the intention of fielding a Formula 3 and a Formula 2 team in the FIA. So he has done this with IndyCar to have a farm series, to train and bring on, champion drivers. He's done that all along, and he plans to do that in Formula One as well. So Michael is thinking of the future. He's still a young man. He's going to, planning to be there for a long, long time, and that's why I think that he deserves an opportunity.
Ok. Bueno, otra vez una gran respuesta. Nos dice don Mario que obviamente hay mucho talento, hay varios pilotos. Obviamente Michael es el que está ahorita haciendo todas estas evaluaciones, y obviamente menciona a Colton Herta, un gran talento desde que era muy joven. Dice que las carreras en las que ha estado está impresionado con la manera como se acerca, y que las carreras que ha ganado en Indy las ha ganado por velocidad, no las ha ganado con estrategia, no las ha ahorrado por cambio de neumáticos o ahorrando combustible. Ha sido velocidad pura, y que la verdad es un joven talento que él cree merece una oportunidad. Ha tenido la oportunidad de competir contra y entrenar con Lando Norris, entonces desde muy joven dio esas muestras. Dice que hay varios talentos que están ahorita evaluando, y que de hecho pues una primicia para Racing Team, que Michael está pensando quizás hacer un equipo de Fórmula 3, un equipo de Fórmula 2, para poder crear ese semillero de pilotos y poder tener eso, que lo ha hecho de manera exitosa en Indy, con Indy Lights, y ha promovido a los pilotos, y que Michael es una persona muy joven, muy ambiciosa, que quiere quedarse en Fórmula 1 un largo tiempo, y que pues obviamente espera poder hacerlo en Fórmula 1 y que pueda ser exitoso y crear esa escuela.
Oye, y lo escuchó aquí, ¿eh? Lo escuchó aquí, no, gracias a don Mario por la información.
Primicia.
Primicia.
You're giving us a prime Mario, that Michael is also interested in investing in Formula 2 and Formula 3 to create that ladder. So we thank you for showing the commitment. And it is one of the things that we were mentioning, is that we think as Formula One fans that you guys are doing all the right things. I mean, you're here for the long run. You're investing, the investment that you're doing in your facility in Indy, the commitment that you have in all the categories. Because one of the things that we have seen is when you show up to compete in any category, Andretti is a name that is not going to be fighting for the middle of the road. You guys want to win.
Yeah.
So that's what we believe, that a name like yours and a team like yours is needed in Formula One, because again, you're coming for the big ones. You want to get into the face of Red Bull. You want to get into the face of Ferrari. Right?
Well, I mean, that's the challenge, obviously, and that's the beauty of the sport, to be there, to try to win, to try to do everything possible, and the passion. That's all we want to do in life, in our professional life, and that's all we care about. We live and we breathe the sport, as you could see. And my son, my nephews, they're all doing the same thing through what I and my brother did at the beginning, and it lives on. So I'm very proud of that.
Nos comenta rápido, o sea, le comentaba yo que pues sí, que vemos el compromiso que tiene la familia Andretti, que quiere estar ahí, que quiere competir y que quiere estar en los primeros lugares con Ferrari, con Red Bull peleándoles, y dice que sí, que la pasión es algo que tienen ellos por el deporte, como familia, sus hijos, sus sobrinos, y bueno, que lo empezó él con su hermano, y ahora ellos continúan con ese legado.
Vamos despidiendo,
Muchísimas gracias.
para
Claro,
ser respetuosos del tiempo.
estamos en el tiempo, Carlos, decirle si tenemos la posibilidad de hacerle la última pregunta o últimas dos, que tenemos a Antonio ahí con una.
We're getting close to the time, Mario, that they gave us. Do you have time for a couple of more questions? Is that okay with you? I don't know how your time is, so we're very respectful.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo tengo una, perdón, rápidamente. Perdón si me adelanto, profe, una disculpa.
No, suya.
Ustedes saben que yo soy un gran aficionado a la IndyCar.
No.
Casi poquito. Don Mario, flamante ganador de las 500 millas de Indianápolis, campeón de Fórmula 1. Y hay una frase que decía a don Mario: nada es comparable con las 500 millas de Indianápolis. Con ganar las 500 millas. Don Mario, ¿qué sentimientos el ganar las 500 y ser campeón de Fórmula 1?
Okay. A little bit of context. Ricardo is a very big fan of kart and Indy from back in the day. And one of the things that he remembers is that since you won the Indy 500, there is one statement that you made, that there's nothing comparable to the 500 to winning the Indy 500. And he says, well, you were a world champion in Formula One and an Indy 500 champion. So what are the feelings? Why did you say that there's nothing comparable? What is so special about the Indy 500?
Well, I think we have to put in proper context here, because I said that winning the Indy 500 from a career standpoint, it gives you opens up many doors, much opportunity because of the tradition of the race. I mean, it's the race has been there for over 100 years, so it has all of that prestige going for it. But you know, you can never compare one race for a championship, for instance. You know, to me, it was more precious to win the national championship in IndyCar than just the race. You know, we have to put in context. I mean, the race is fantastic, and it's from a career standpoint, it does so much for you. You know, but it's only one race, so we have to be very careful about that. I am one for the championship. The championship means the entire season, many races. So, you know, we have to understand that clearly.
Ok. Dice que hay que ponerlo todo en perspectiva y en contexto. Dice que sí, definitivamente ganar las 500 millas de Indianápolis abre muchísimas puertas por lo que representa, por la gran tradición que tiene, una carrera que lleva celebrándose más de 100 años. Pero dice, ojo también con mi declaración y el contexto, porque ganar un campeonato significa toda la consistencia en un año de ser campeón en un año. Claro. Entonces, dice, las 500 millas de Indianápolis es una sola carrera. Claro. El campeonato, entonces dice, para mí como piloto, ganar el campeonato, pues es la consecución de todo un año de trabajo. Perfecto. Entonces, so we get it, Mario. It's the context that is very, very specific. And you won in 69, so you were very, very young when you won the Indy 500.
Antonio, con la última.
De hecho, acabas de mencionar algo importante de cuando corrías con tus hermanos. ¿Qué es lo que más extrañas de esa época, cuando no había involucrados contratos ni tanto dinero?
So you mentioned that you remember racing and the race that you started with your brother. What do you kind of miss from those years when it was not the huge contracts, not the big sponsors, but the racing? What do you miss about that era when you raced with your brother Aldo?
Well, I can tell you that I'm blessed and fortunate that I've had those opportunities to race in those eras, you know, just to see how the sport has evolved, coming from many basic aspects of the technical side to improving understanding, different engine configuration, different chassis, different aerodynamics, all of that. And yeah, it's almost starting from zero to the top. And I experienced that. And again, it's just because I was of that age, but I would not trade my situation for anything in the world, because I've had those experiences of being there and now. And I've seen just what we've learned, what we have, seen so much over the years. And I have reason to appreciate everything that went on and what is there today.
Sí, nos comenta que efectivamente, o sea, él recuerda eso y que pues le da mucho gusto es por las cuestiones que a él le tocó vivir, que a él le tocó tener, y que fue pues ir viendo todos los desarrollos, cómo iba cambiando el deporte, cómo iba, y que literalmente fue empezar de cero con configuraciones muy básicas, ajustes muy básicos, y ya empezar a ver cómo iba evolucionando todo. Dice que él no se cambiaría por nadie ni por nada, porque le ha tocado ver esa evolución, y que ver dónde se encuentra ahora el automovilismo, pues es parte de esa evolución y parte de lo que le tocó vivir. Si me permiten, puedo hacer una última pregunta.
Vale, go ahead.
Ahora que estuvo en que hablamos de diferentes épocas, ¿hay algo que usted traería de regreso de la década del 60 o de la década del 70 a la Fórmula 1 actual y que cree que pueda ayudar a hacer mejor el deporte? Esta pregunta nos la hizo un buen amigo del canal, sí, esa es la última. Y bueno, pues queremos saber. It's a question from one of our followers, and I didn't want that we finish the interview without doing it. It's like, from your era racing Formula One in the 60s and 70s, is there something that if you could bring something back from those years to Formula One in 2021 to make it more competitive, to make it more interesting, to make this, what would you bring back from that time to the Formula One today?
I don't know.
Fair.
I think I like Formula One today. I just like where we are. It's just I always look forward. I never look back, quite honestly. And that's been my model here. And I really love the technology, the latest, and so on and so forth that's available. So quite honestly, I love what we have today. So let's leave what was there then, and let's enjoy what we have now.
Mira.
Okay.
A very, very interesting response, Mario. And let me just do the translation to make it justice, because it's a very, very amazing answer. Dice que realmente él no añora nada de esa época. Dice que no traería nada, que a él le gusta la Fórmula 1 el día de hoy, como estamos hoy en el siglo XXI, y que además él no mira al pasado. Él mira hacia adelante, le da gusto dónde estamos a nivel de tecnología, dónde estamos a nivel de todo. Entonces dice que no, que él no traería nada de regreso, que es la Fórmula 1 como está, y que realmente él lo que quiere es ver al futuro y que sea la Fórmula 1 una cosa que siga evolucionando. Dejar el pasado en el pasado, que está muy bien ahí, hay que ver hacia adelante.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias, Mario, por tu tiempo. Muchas gracias por el tiempo extra que nos acabas de dar. Espero que sea la primera de muchas entrevistas. Mandarte de parte de todo Racing Team un grandísimo abrazo.
Michael, we really want to thank you for your time, for this extra couple of minutes that we took. We hope that this is the first of many interviews. Looking forward to talk to you in the future. Definitely, it's been a pleasure. And on behalf of Racing Team and everybody, I mean, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, a pleasure for me, and un gran saludo a Checo Pérez.
Venga, Checo.
Yeah, buen año.
Gracias, thanks. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Muchas gracias, Mario. Muy agradecido.
Thank you, Mario.
De esta manera llegamos al final del programa. ¿Qué más pedir? Muchísimas gracias. Estamos excedidos de tiempo, así que nos despedimos. Bye, bye.
Vámonos.
Esto ha sido Racing Team.
Bye, bye.